Welcome back to Bobby and Builders. Last time we talked about why a profitable business might not actually sell. Today, we're going to talk about a couple stories of why businesses can sell, how they can sell, what makes them sellable. And we have my co-host here, Mike Bartowil, who has many experiences, especially in his family businesses, entering and exiting businesses. So we're going to get into it. So thank you. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for watching. Presented by BizScout as always.
All right. So welcome back, guys. So now I'm going to turn the chairs on my side and then look at the other side or put myself in the other side of the table. I talked to sellers. I tried to help them position themselves. But now it's going to be a little bit of me sharing the story of some of the things that I've seen, especially as Bobby said, within my family business, the experience that I grew up with, how the conversations went internally, what we looked for, and then what I remember as part of being important back then on the things that we looked, how we prepared, and tried to give you guys a little bit of the backstory and the ins and out, and hopefully we can share some of the learnings from those experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, Mike, actually the first thing I wanted to talk about was the auto dealership that your family had in Mexico.
Yes.
So when you first told me the story, I thought it was a very interesting set of dynamics. There's family dynamics at play. There's ownership handoffs and transfers. There's operational and complexities, you could say, and then what the actual exit looked like. So I thought there was a lot of interesting things that the audience might want to hear about how exiting a business like this, managing a business like this, and then eventually exiting actually could relate to things that they're going through when they potentially think about selling their business.
Yeah, 100%. Let me start with a little bit of context of where it started. Like my father and my uncle, big entrepreneurs since they were young. They started going throughout Mexico, just like they had a t-shirt factory, and they would go around Mexico and just try to sell it, right? And they would literally take 100 packs.
So this isn't a designer shop. This is like an actual manufacturing.
Yeah, they manufactured the t-shirts, like white t-shirts, and then back then you would have to go physically and sell them. So each one had a route, and they would go throughout Mexico, and they would deliver the t-shirts, right? So you're gonna see how this ties up in the auto dealership, because it was really interesting, both like how you get into the business and how you take advantage and evolve things. But what would happen sometimes, they would go to a merchant and say, hey, here are like your 500 packages, right? Or whatever it was of t-shirts. Sometimes they would pay them in cash, they would take it back. But sometimes they were like, hey, I don't have money to pay you. So sometimes they would pay them with cars. Like, okay, what do we do with the car? Okay, let's go sell it, right? It was like back then when like back and forth. Like,
it was bartering. You're literally bartering.
It was bartering. It was like really interesting. So at some point they saw that it was very profitable business. So they started going to car dealerships, and then at that point say, hey, can you give me some cars? Give me 60-day financing or 30-day financing, and let me go and sell them. So they started getting or being recognized for like having good deals in the cars and selling them. So at one point, my uncle said, hey, let's go and try to get like a dealership deal, right? So they went to different brands, and one of them said no. They kept doing this on the side, and once they had some momentum, the dealer said, yes, let's do it. So that's how they started. And they started in a small town, 100K people. They owned the dealership for 45 years in total. Right?
45 years, wow.
45 years. Throughout that time, it was mostly my father and my uncle growing them. But at some point, things shifted, and the second generation started coming in.
Your generation.
My generation, yes. And
You guys are the ones that screw it up. That's always the second generation that screws it up.
We didn't screw it up. We ended up selling it, but it was good. Like it was a good thing. So what happened was my father continued managing the business, and then my cousin came in. But the rules of managing the business were not the same. It was like brother to brother,
right,
to brother to nephew, right? And the understanding and the rules and how you
the hierarchy was different.
Hierarchy is different. The way you think is different. And we didn't know back then how it affected, but it's not the same like when you have a set of rules that are not written.
Yeah.
When the structure and the context that you're operating on changes, everything changes around it, right? Like, for example, my cousin, like, in a good way, started putting technology into the business.
Right.
My father was a 40s guy. It was surpassed the technology side, so he would still manage it, right? Like, and those things like started to create operational imbalances, right? Like, It was not the same. It would work differently. That I don't want to say affected because like the business was really good. It just changed the way things operated, right? And that's
Yeah.
when things started changing, right? Like to what you said, that was the first big, I would say, change within the business where we didn't know what was happening. Like at that point when you're in it, you kind of see it, but it's not until you look backwards that you're like, oh, that was something that shifted the direction or shifted the way we did things.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that I'm going to go off script here a little
Yeah.
bit. Do you think that there's a cultural aspect at play with that as well? Like being from Mexico, like there's a respect that your cousin would have had for your uncle that might be a little bit different than here in the US. Like if I had 50% of the business and my uncle had 50%, like I'm a 50-50 owner. I'm coming in hot. And do you think your cousin might have been a little deferential to your father because of the cultural dynamic, or do you think that now that didn't really play a role and it's very similar from Mexico to the U.S.?
I think this is a super important aspect of it, and 100% yes. I think at the start, yes, there was a cultural aspect to it, like the respect part. Hierarchy is huge. Like in Mexico, not only our background is Lebanese, is like a tribal type of culture where hierarchy is huge, patriarchs, matriarchs type of cultures, and so yes, there was a lot of that. But then at some point, after years, he was a great salesman. He still is, right? And he started like doing a lot of the sales and carrying, but he didn't have a lot of the structure. So my father was kind of the administrator. But at some point, like he was driven by the sales, he was already in the business, and he knew he could go faster in some areas, probably with more risk.
Right.
That's where the differences started to come in because he started now leading a lot of the business, right? So you're spot on in that perspective that the cultural aspect carries on, but that's not all. Like those are unwritten rules.
Right.
What really carries up a business is the written rules.
Yeah.
Right. And this is one of the learnings that we had. Like if you have a business, prepare it for the next stage, whatever that is. If it's more people coming in, new generations, external people. A lot of the times you have a business, it's all family owned.
Right.
At some point, you open it up to like professional management. You got to prepare it for those changes. It's the same when you're selling the business. Like, how do you prepare for it so that when the time comes, you know why, you know how you're gonna get into that new idea, right? And that's something that we didn't have at that point.
Do you think that there's a level of management expertise that was built within your cousin from being around the business, or do you think he had to really learn on the job when they handed him the keys?
Oh no, I think he was young and he learned by doing.
Okay.
He didn't know what he was doing at the beginning. I mean, he was prepared, but he hadn't been in the business before. It's not like he went outside and he prepared himself and then he had the qualifications. It was more by context that it was the time for him to take the seat.
Got it.
And he just learned. So that's why also at the beginning there was more of that respect. But one, he was an expert in it. He had relationships. He was making big decisions within the business. It was more like a one-to-one relationship, with my father.
So when, I don't want to say when did it go south? That might not be a fair characterization, but I do know, and you told us, that there was an exit. So something started to happen. I don't want to say the wheels started coming off. I want you to go into the details of like, where did it go from, okay, my cousin's adding technology, they're figuring it out, he's becoming better, but then there were some rocks and some bumps along the way that just couldn't be worked out that eventually led to an exit.
I would say that the lack of structure and the lack of preparation, right? Like not only my cousins started coming over, but there were 3 cousins on that side. On our side, it was 5 of us.
Okay.
Right? So suddenly you go.
So you're not adding just you and your cousin. There's multiple people in this thing. Got it. Okay.
And I'm the youngest, so I was kind of a little bit outside of the.
I didn't know you were the youngest, but from working with you, I all makes sense. Now I know you're the youngest kid. Yes, that all makes sense.
You tell me more about that.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, like being the youngest, like allowed me to see a lot and learn by looking up, right? But at some point, my brothers were in the age of they want to enter the business, right?
Yeah.
And in a cultural family where like, if this is yours, you participate of it.
Yep.
Versus a professional management where you're like, you're only coming here if you're qualified.
Right.
And we're going to bring the best, right? So we're not going to lower the bar for you to being a family owner.
Right.
Actually, we're going to up the bar if you are part of the family.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that, and I think that's great. Or they send them away, work on corporate, work on X thing, get prepared, then you can come into the business.
I like that. Yeah. A
So-
lot of my friends have done that with their family business. Yeah.
And that you're not entitled to work on the business if you're family.
Right.
Because this business here is what keeps us all going.
Right.
It feeds us, pays for the roof, pay for the life quality. So you got to protect that, right? And separate that from the family. And this is when like family businesses theory comes in and all of that. But to your question, when it started going south or when it started not working anymore, because it always worked.
Right.
Right. It was when there was too many people with different opinions and different stages in their life and different needs started making opinions. Right. And when there was not established framework on how things were going to do, as we spoke, like there was no rules.
Right.
Then everything becomes a subjective conversation, right? It's more like, oh, I want this. I think the business should do that, right? And you have 20 years apart, 30 years apart between my father and then my youngest brother and then my cousins in the middle. The opinions are very different, right? Like think about it today. Oh, I want to bring AI into the business. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like that's scary.
Yeah.
Right? Like so
You're going to give all my data to this computer company? Like, why would I do that?
Exactly. What about privacy?
Right.
Like, hey, I want to maintain my things
Yeah.
within control. So it was something like that. And at some point we realized like, hey, either this is going to like either we do something different and set the rules and build the code for us to grow the business, or we just exit and say we are no longer working good together as a group. This is going to harm the business. This is going to harm the family relationship.
Right.
Let's just prepare, and then let's take it to an exit.
Was there a straw that broke the camel's back? Was there a last thing that was like your dad or your uncle potentially said, you know what, like for the sake of the family, we're going to exit this business? Like, was there one thing, or was it just, it got so bad, then the conversations about exiting finally became the dominant conversation?
No, not really. I think it never got that bad to say, hey, this is
Not that contentious around the
No,
family? Okay.
it was just like tension. And so the way it works is you're an independent business, but you're tied to the brand.
Yep.
Right? And then the brand has certain rules that you have to follow. And then they would like manage the market, right? Like, hey, you can only sell here, you can only do this, you can only do that. Like at one point, we were in a 100K people town. We came up third nationally on sales.
Wow.
Because we would sell whatever they would buy.
Yeah.
We would have like drivers taking cars from North Mexico all the way to Central Mexico.
Wow.
Like they started bargaining, right? And it was like, I will do whatever to make the business grow. The strategies that we would use, like we would not agree on some of those, right? And when I think the big element that made us make the decision was twofold. One, we did not agree on important things, and we could see that if we continued that path, the business was gonna go down. And two, it was like already too big, too many people inside the business that we started exploring. The third one, which is also important, is we knew there was appetite and there could be buyers out there.
Right.
Because we had a really good business and it was very well positioned. The brand was known. That we started scouting and just like seeing what was out there.
Got it. So did you have inquiries before there was actually a decision to sell? Like, did people come, other dealers come knock on the door and say, I want to roll you guys up?
Not really. I think it was more of the conversation with the brand of like, hey, they could see the tension in our conversations. They could see sometimes we would go a little bit off of the guidelines because we wanted to sell.
Yeah.
We were hungry. We wanted to be everywhere. We have grown from one dealership to three. In two of them, one of them was in the third largest city in Mexico, right? So it was a very important, very well positioned dealership. The other one was in the border, and the other one was in the small town. So we grew our footprint, and they allowed us. But they could see the tension, and as a brand, they would protect that. So they would bring conversation like, hey, is this still working? Have you thought about like selling and things like that?
Yeah.
And some of those things were like started the conversation.
Now talk to me about the actual selling of the business. Like what were the preparation steps? Like you were running a clearly good family-owned business. Now, there is that trigger point where you're like, okay, I talked to the brand. We've established the fact that we're going to sell. We're going to put this thing out to market. Did you use a broker? Did you have the brand help you kind of because they had other people that already wanted you? Like how did the sales process start?
Yeah, that's a great question because once we started that, the first thing that we did is like, okay, how do we prepare for it? My father had done some other things, smaller, mostly transitions or closed business and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first that we did was starting to learn about the process. Mm-hmm. So we didn't use a broker. We started creating a team in 4 different areas. The first one was operations, like is our operation good? Do we have all the manuals? Can somebody else run the business if we were to transfer it? And also like what type of owner we would need. Right. So that's one. The second part was financial, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, how much is this worth? Our accounting, everything is good. Do we have the numbers? What could we expect out of it? Is this something that we would be okay with mm-hmm. as the 2 families? The third one was taxes, right? Like how would we structure the deal if we wanted to be out there to make it efficient? Our like LLCs, like not called LLCs, but just like using
their version,
their version of LLCs in mm-hmm. Mexico. Like, are they well structured? Should we switch something to make it efficient to transfer it? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I don't know if in here, but like in Mexico, sometimes you can transfer the business, but not the entity.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you gain benefits out mm-hmm. of it. Right. And the new person will use their entity. So all of that comes into the structuring and how you manage like everything around it.
Yep.
And the last one was legal. Right. So finances, tax, legal, and operations were the 4 things that we were looking for.
And once you established those teams effectively, was the transition, I don't want to say easy, but you found the buyer, or the franchise helped you find the buyer. The dealership helped you find the buyer. You had all of the pieces in place. Then it was a nice clean break, and in 30 days, everybody shook hands, walked away, and they sent you a check. I couldn't imagine it actually went that smooth.
No, it was not like that. So the first thing that we did was like, okay, where can we find a buyer, right? Yep. And to your point, we started with the network, right? Like, first of all, you cannot sell that business without authorization of the brand.
Right.
Right? Like, yep. That's one of the benefits or not of it. They help you promote it if they have operators that they have in line. People, like the same way we got into it when we say, hey, we want to do it. The first time they said no.
Right.
The second time they said, oh, the market is ready for you. They let us put one right. dealership there. So the same way it works here. Sometimes they don't let dealerships exit because of market conditions. It's like, oh, it's already too saturated. We need to shut one down mm-hmm. or whatnot. Thankfully, in this condition, they were like, hey, we'll support the sale. We'll sell as a group. And they presented with a couple of options. Once we did the sale, it took some time. We were still involved because we wanted to like support the new person to be successful.
Yep.
A lot of what we had was the brand, right? Mm-hmm. Like, although you're part of, let's say, Volkswagen or Chrysler, whatever the brand mm-hmm. is, you build an independent brand, right? Like here in the United States, you have Hendrix and you have like all these other people that have huge footprint. So in the same way, we had a brand built up already. So we wanted to make sure that people knew that the new person was supported by us. So we stayed there for, I think, about a year or something. We had a really good team. We negotiated in their behalf that they didn't take them apart.
Right.
They knew, like, there wasn't many people that could do what they did. Mm-hmm. And they have been doing it, like, a lot of people's 20 years with us or 30 years with us or more. And then after that, there was some point where we stepped back. I think the hardest part was the emotional part.
What do you mean? Emotional part? Like you're getting a huge check. What's emotional?
I grew up expecting the new car. My dad would come in and say, hey, the new car that just came in, nobody has saw it, and you have it in your house, mm-hmm. right? Like, he just brought it, like, to show it out. Or we would go to the dealership, and I'm like, every time a new car that was announced by the brand, I would go to the dealership and say, did we already have it?
Yeah.
I grew up, like, washing cars with the people on the washing part. Yeah. I grew up in the shop. Yeah. Sometimes I would do my homework in the offices. I would go there and, like, my mom would travel and my dad would like, okay, come here, you will do the homework here. So I will sit with him, see him take calls. So it's not only about the business, you grow with it. It's part of you. It's part of what you've done. So getting that away from you it's hard. Like emotionally, it's like, oh my God, 45 years. Like for me, it was all my life.
Right.
At that point, like I didn't see, I didn't
Yeah.
know any better. So you come to this point, like, what am I gonna do now? Like, what happens after? Like nobody prepared me for this.
Yeah, I resonate with that because I was the same for me with my dad and his oil business growing up. Like I remember I'd do my homework in the back of a truck. I would do it in the office. I would wash the rigs. I would wash the equipment. I would play around in the pipes and try to run across them. Yeah, totally understand that whole aspect of it. Once you did let go, once the family did actually let go of the business, what did your dad do? Did he retire? Is he officially done? Did he do something else?
As a business owner, you prepare for the sale. You don't know what's on the other side.
Right.
So we don't know what to do. Like we're a family. We still had like with my cousins things like that. We didn't have an operating business, but we still had some things in common. And it was like, okay, now what? We know how to sell cars under a brand and whatnot. What do we do afterwards? So it took us some time to redefine ourselves for what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
It also took some time for us to find out what it meant living without that business,
Yep.
right? That was the driver. So there was also a personal redefinition where, okay, what am I going to do now? Before, probably the expectation wrongfully from the cousins and the brothers was, I'm going to work in the business, right? And that's why some of the contention and the conflict, not conflict, but the situation happened.
Did you think that you were going to? You were the youngest. Did you think that like you were like, I'm still gonna, this is what I'm gonna do?
No.
Yeah. See,
No.
I don't know. I'm the oldest, and I was like, I'm never gonna do this. Like, even before my dad, eventually sold the assets of the business, I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. But you said your brothers did want pieces of the business.
Yeah. They wanted to get involved. They had ideas. They knew how to do it. But for me, I was the eighth in line. I was like, there's not gonna be a piece for me, so I gotta figure it out. For the rest, it was kind of the opposite way. It was like, okay, now what I do, and each one took their path. All of them entrepreneurial paths.
Nice.
But yeah, it was different. Like definitely the emotional part, you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Looking back to it, my recommendation to everyone, like seeing and hearing us from a business perspective, the more objective that you do it, the better the outcome.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's numbers. We've talked about it. It's numbers. Nobody's going to pay you for the emotional aspect, right? Nobody's going to reward you. And in fact, a lot of the times, if you put a lot of emotional burden into the business, it might harm the way you do the business. Like, for example, for us, if we had certain, like, strong guardrails about the second generation coming into the business,
Yeah.
probably we would have still have like dealership. Probably would be in 10 dealership by now, right? Like,
Wow.
you never know.
Yeah.
But it's just like those things that you question yourself of, okay, what was the things that I could have done before to either maintain the business or sell it better? But I think it was good. Like for us, if we hadn't sold it then, the crisis in 2008 would have probably killed us as well.
Yeah. That killed a lot of people. One follow-up point on your legal / operational structure, tax structure. I don't know which one it might have actually fall into. I have a rule. I never go 50-50 in the business. You have to go a minimum 51-49. Like I have to. And I'm okay being 49. I'm perfectly okay being the 49 side. As long as the expectations are set about what, as a minority rights holder, what are those rights? How do I exercise them? What say do I have in the business? Somebody has to be the final decision maker.
Yes.
How did that play out in your family? Like, it's brothers? It's different. I know I've got brothers that I work with in my family businesses, but how did that work when you're selling a big multi-location family car dealership with two brothers?
I think at that point it played out well because both sides were in agreement that was the best path.
Okay.
Having said that, I would say probably up to this point we're still trying to figure out a way to remove the impasse, right? Like you have to have a mechanism. If the impasse comes, how are you going to unlock it?
Yeah.
Right? And usually it's either a decision maker out of the two, or you bring an external party.
Yeah.
But it has to be in writing, because if it's not in writing, when the tension of the decision is there,
Even with family, has to be in writing.
Oh, it's worse.
I agree.
It's worse. Emotions come in, and it makes it so much harder because, like, oh, well, I help you with this. Now you owe me. And this.
Yeah.
Not that they have done that, but I've seen it play in many, many times. The best thing that you can do is, yes, one decision maker. a legal structure that allows you to make decisions quickly, and a mechanism for impasse.
Yep.
So I would say, if you were to ask me one, would I do a 50-50 again? Like, no way.
Yeah, no 50-50s. That's the one biggest takeaway you can take away from this
Correct.
whole thing. Is there anything else we didn't cover on the preparation of the sale, on the exit planning, on the actual handoff? There were any complications, or did we cover most of the stuff?
No, let me add one thing that I think it's important on the preparation, right? Like, because I said kind of what we did, but I didn't mention how we did it.
Yeah,
Right? And I
very
think
true.
that's an important point. My rule is, if you don't know, go ask. Who do you ask? The owner.
You just asked me, and then
I ask you, and then you resolve everything for me.
No, I wish, but no.
No, as the expert.
Yeah.
Who's the expert? Like, if somebody hurts in your body, you go to the doctor, right?
Yep.
In the same way,
I don't. I just die.
you
It's
just
fine.
like take
It's
pill,
fine.
take a painkiller, and that's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Or you just fight it off.
Yeah.
So what we did is like started going and getting multiple opinions from different people on the matter, right?
Yeah.
So we went with lawyers. Like, hey, we want to sell this. What's the best way? What could go wrong? Do an assessment of my business. So we kind of did a reverse due diligence.
Okay.
Right?
I don't hate that, right? I've brought them up on this podcast thing before with our friends at Exit Factor. Like, they basically do a due diligence exercise for you before you actually get into it. Yeah.
It's like an X-ray. Like,
Yeah.
hey, if I were to buy myself, how would I test myself,
Yeah.
like objectively? So we started doing that and see, okay, this part of the business is weak. Then we work a little bit on fixing it or restructuring it or whatnot. Okay, this part of the business is good, so we're gonna promote this part better. So at the time of the transaction, we knew everything about the business. We knew what was good, what was bad, from all aspects of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is the operation good? Yes. Do we have any areas that can fall through when we transfer, right? Like transferability, we talked about that
Right.
in the last episode. Taxes, how we want to make this effective for us and for the buyer, right? And then financially, is everything clean? Like, are there things that should not be here? So that made it super easy. And I remember it was a smooth transaction. It wasn't like years waiting for the buyer. It was like once we made the decision, it was like months.
Was there a key person inside that legal team that was like kind of leading? Like, you could effectively call them the business broker of this exercise, or was it really you split them all into teams and then you kind of had to your family had to manage the process themselves?
So one, I don't know if benefit, but I think it helped. My brother is a lawyer. He was yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I think my brother's a lawyer too, and I think,
Like,
did it help?
If he's on my side, it's good. If it's not on my side, I
Exactly.
I love it. But no, he didn't do the deal himself. Like, we separated that, but he would bring an objective perspective into the advisory that we would get.
Yep.
So what I would recommend is like build your team. Like, if even if you're not thinking of selling, like start getting people that you trust. So when you're gonna get into these processes, who's gonna be on your side? You're gonna have someone that you know that you can trust, right? Because if not, it gets blurry.
Yep.
If you're in the matter, there's too many interests that are within the situation. I don't know how to call it.
Yeah.
right? Like,
No. Makes sense.
and you want to make sure that you're prepared. So the more you do it when you don't want to sell, the easier, because you have time. You can review people. You can say, I connect with this person, right? This lawyer, this CPA, this,
Yeah.
and then you have your trust network. So when things really come to a sale, then you know who to trust.
Right.
Then you have the numbers, right? So you're not crunched for making a decision, and then you make bad decisions or get bad advice or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think you put it great on the last time we sat down like this, where you said, if you run your business like you're getting ready to sell it, then you're going to run it better anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that you just get caught up in the hurry of running the business, that you don't take your step back, being strategic, and then saying, okay, how can we make this better?
Absolutely.
And that self-due diligence is good. It's like the same way you do a annual checkup. I don't know if
I don't do
getting too
annual
old,
check.
but
I don't do any of that stuff. But
they tell me I have to do one. I haven't done
Yeah.
it, but I think I will start taking advice.
Yeah, it's probably good advice. Don't take health advice from me, that's for sure. One of the interesting things that I like to do when I roll off of a business is hang on to things. So I hang on to a piece of it. You know, some sellers want to get out of the business entirely. Was there anything that your family held on to? Did they get they carry a royalty? Did they have, you mentioned the employees got to stay. Was there a family manager that got to stay in there and keep their job for some period of time? Was there anything that kind of lingered after the exit?
There were two things. One, some people, key people, stayed for a period of time just to transfer the knowledge to the new person and make sure that they were successful. But one of the things that we did was one of the dealership was on top of a real estate that we owned. So
You did the McDonald's example where you own the real estate. Oh, I love it. I love it.
so we were not paying rent. That helped with profitability. So at the end, we made a negotiation which was part of the transaction where we kept the real estate and they had to stay within the in that property for a period of time.
Nice.
And we continued receiving rent. And then at some point that person ended up leaving, but it was like it was a couple of years after.
That's a really, really smart thing. If you're selling the business and you own the real estate, you don't have to sell the real estate. You can, but you don't have to.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate sharing the story. I know family stuff is sometimes when you break these pieces apart, they get a little dicey, but thanks for sharing with us.
No, I'm happy to. Hopefully for everyone at home, this is something that it's useful. Like that's the purpose of why I wanted to share it. I don't think not always you have the opportunity of having this much exposure to these situations that just take them for life. Like it's life learnings. So I just wanted to share it with everyone here and make sure that they take a piece of what I've been through and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how we've come up, and now I'm here at BizScout. So
that's awesome.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. You've heard from Mike about his family business. You've heard about the success of exiting a business, a multi-dealership location, even down in Mexico. So you get a lot of aspects and flair on that one. You've heard about my failures as a chronic tacos franchise owner. If you followed along some of the posts, you've heard about other mishaps that have happened in businesses and things that you could avoid in pitfalls. But we want to talk about in the next couple of weeks is we're going to bring in entrepreneurs who have successfully exited their businesses for multiple millions of dollars and talk to them about how they built their business, how they expanded to the point where they felt they could sell, and then what those final triggers were. We're going to have new guests every week coming in and sitting down with us. Sometimes they'll be on Zoom, sometimes they'll be in the room with us, but it's going to be a fun ride. Stay with us. Bobby and the Builders. We'll see you next time.